Alright guys, today's gonna be a solo mission. Jake's helping me get the logs on and off the mill, but other than that, it's just me. So buckle up, things might get a little bumpy. My name's Sammy Ray, and you're watching Big Forest, Tiny Cabin. Today, I'm milling foundation beams for a tool shed build that we have planned. I'm using some logs that we cut about a year ago but didn't mill. They're a little small for this job, but you use what you have. I'd like a full 6x6, but I think I'll come up a little short on some of the edges, so they'll still be solid and strong, but they may not be as pretty as I'd like. I have 4 of these beams to mill today, but they're just one part of the foundation. Before I can use them, I also have to finish getting the rest of the gravel base down and compacted, and then set the concrete blocks, all before the snow hits and the ground freezes. That way the groundwork is ready, and even if winter rolls in, we can keep building. And it's kind of funny when I hear myself say that last part, because that's what we told ourselves last year when we built this pad and parked the sawmill here. We knew at that time that the snow would be coming soon, so we tarped the sawmill as a temporary cover, and it's just like the old saying, there's nothing more permanent than a temporary solution. Because here we are 1 year later, and the concrete pads are still waiting for that building, and that tarp is still here. With the wind out here today, it kind of looks and feels like a snowstorm, except with sawdust. Well, this is the first time we ran it this year, and obviously I put it away with a dull chain. We can tell because everything that's coming off is sawdust, and what we really want is chips. So I'm going to take a few minutes and put a new chain on. We usually harvest our trees in late fall and throughout the winter. During that time, the wood contains less sap and moisture, and there are fewer insects to deal with. The cooler temperatures also make it much more comfortable to work, and best of all, no mosquitoes or flies. Once the trees are cut, we typically mill the logs right away. Freshly cut logs are easier to saw, so it's better for the mill, and the cuts go faster. The boards also dry more evenly, which means less warping and fewer checking issues. In short, it all adds up to better quality lumber. I can tell this log was sitting and drying for a year. The cuts are taking longer than I'm used to, and the chips I'm seeing are much smaller than usual. The wood is hardened, and it makes milling more difficult. I'll finish milling the last two faces and then clean up some of the missed edges with a draw knife. That part is a little harder to do. The milling is easy, but the draw knife can be a little tricky. It's more of a learned skill. The log horses are so nice to work with. They get the logs off the ground and make it easier to work the beams. We actually built these years ago before we built the mill. They were just chainsaw cut and screwed together, but they've held up pretty well. And this bark is practically falling off, which is great. Well, that pretty much finishes this one. But I've still got 3 more logs to mill, and I need to get back to it. So, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.